Hi,
Yeah.
Diya. Good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Good. I'm very good, Adina.
Thank you so much for accepting and being a guest in this podcast episode, The Life of a Social Media Manager. Before to jump in and discuss your life journey and what you are doing for the World Health Organization, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I started my journey as a journalist. I was a broadcast producer. I used to make long form documentaries and then moved on to written journalism and then digital advocacy with various think tanks and not-profit sectors, and finally the United Nations. WHO has been a recent role that I've taken up in April this year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite exciting. So my background has been in films and journalism and digital advocacy. So it's a combination of a lot of things. But what I most enjoy about being a communicator is that everything now has an online footprint. And social media is where messages get front loaded in various creative packages, where you are very much in touch with community and users. So that's something that really excites me because I get a very real time feedback of how our messages are getting interpreted and being acted upon.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's my background in a nutshell.
I think you have an interesting mix. Studying film and now then started with journalism and now working in social media because the skills that you developed so far are pretty helpful for what you are doing today.
Yeah. I do see that social media, I mean, nobody can escape it
Yeah.
today, right? Like we the world's population reached 8 billion, and among them, nearly 5 billion are on the internet, on the
Yeah.
grid. And many of them, among them, are social media users. So while there is the digital gap still, and a lot needs to be done to bring people online, we cannot escape the reality that most of us are consuming content and information through social media channels, and it's taken a lot of significance in our daily lives.
Yeah. And I think that is still room for improvement. So I don't know, there are so many discussions about the algorithm changes and
Right.
I don't know what happens now with Twitter, but I think the fundamentals are always still um, available and applies in any conditions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, algorithm and platforms, it's continuously evolving, right? Like in during the pandemic, we saw that most people went online for their absolute health needs, like how to kind of take care of themselves, the vaccinations, the progress of countries in vaccine access. So social media front loads all the messages and people are consuming it very fast. Of course, algorithmically, platforms are also promoting something that makes business sense for them, right?
Yeah.
Twitter, of course, there was a collective meltdown with various changes that happened because what does it mean for the common person, as well as Twitter is a sort of like intellectual town square where people are opinionating, where people are
Yeah.
exchanging views and also sharing breaking news and information. So
Mm-hmm.
it's very
Mm-hmm.
relevant for journalists. So I see
Yeah.
the relevance. So you cannot like disavow social media as something that just young people do and
Yeah.
disconnect. It doesn't touch our lives. That's a myth we need to actively bust, and also manage our expectations of how we use social media in our daily lives.
Yeah, I agree with you. You are now leading the social media team for the World Health Organization. Can you describe this job role?
It's a very exciting job role. I'm quite thrilled to be part of a team and leading a team that's very versatile and dynamic. It has a lot of experience on health advocacy. In fact, I'm the new kid on the block, right? As a team lead, and I rely on my team's wisdom and. We of course we editorially map and plan everything.
Mm-hmm.
We social media. There is an impression that, oh, it's just a tweet that you just post. But everything is crafted well. Everything has a sort of a platform specific customization, that why are we posting something on Twitter and not on Facebook, where we are very in tune with our user needs. So the team comprises of project managers, of designers, and I mean, I shouldn't be saying in plural because we are a very lean team, and media analysts, and we all kind of are very passionate about our different portfolios, and working on platforms, and also thinking ahead that what we need to feed on the platforms, and kind of forecasting the trends and catering to our user community. So that's what the job is like. It's a lot of firefighting, as well as a lot of strategic planning, and as well as catering to our community and users, and also myth busting and fighting disinformation actively, because that's something that's a huge risk that is coming up in the online world, which has consequences. And our media analysts do a fantastic job of tracking online conversations, controversies, commentary, and also basically conspiracy theories, and that shapes our messaging.
So I have to admit that I started following your company since the pandemic started. So now I'm a huge fan of what you're doing on TikTok and on Instagram. I think that if I need the right information, I know that you guys deliver the right information for me. So congrats for this. I think you have a mission. So everything what you're doing on social media, every message that you are posting have a mission behind. So that's really empowering for me as a user and a follower for the World Health Organization. I know that you have an active presence on TikTok, but I have to admit that I look into the data for the World Health Organization, and I saw that in your case, Instagram is still leading when it comes to engagement. Can you share some insights about the strategy that you have for Instagram?
Instagram, the way the platform is caters to the users, people want very quick, and also now, like you mentioned, algorithm, reels are getting promoted as, vertical format videos. So we constantly, of course, scan the industry news as to how the platform is catering to community needs, and then we adapt. So on Instagram, we try to be as creative as possible to give very precise information on public health concerns. For instance, let's say when the monkeypox outbreak is happening, we worked with our risk communication team. So it's always a collaboration. The social media team is not, it's not something that's working in isolation. My endeavor is that we all work together with informed scientists, with subject matter experts, with risk communication team, and craft those very precise messages that the community is looking for, and then give it a creative spin. So that has been a success with us in terms of engaging users. Also, humanizing content when we are talking about the acute healthcare needs during the ongoing Ukrainian war in Ukraine. We are spotlighting the healthcare needs, we are spotlighting ground stories, but packaging it in a way that still kind of fits the Instagram aesthetics of a gallery. But with long caption stories. So the story writing reflects in the caption. Similarly, we also experiment with very simple messages. Let's say when we are talking about safe sex and use of contraceptives. So the caption can just, the copy on the graphic can just be "make love, not war," and you protect yourself against STI or practice safe sex. So we are of course we are experimenting a lot more
Mm-hmm.
to understand whether it is a carousel, whether it is a static image, whether it is a short format, 9:16 vertical format video that's doing well. We are constantly tracking the analytics and then kind of devising with our subject matter experts that this is how we think there should be a creative treatment to this topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a constant collaboration, a sort of like keeping your eyes peeled for what the analytics tell you, has helped us shaped our Instagram engagement and really drive it forward. So that's been in a nutshell how we are approaching Instagram.
But how about TikTok? So if you on Instagram, you are, I don't know, you have you can go with long captions, or you can test long caption versus short caption. On TikTok, it doesn't matter the caption so much. The video itself, the ones that go viral, comments, shares, and so on. So how do approach TikTok in your case?
Well, TikTok is an entertainment platform, really. Like it's at the same time, it's also people are consuming videos on speed. And if you're scrolling so fast, your videos can't be too long. So you have to kind of figure out what is the video retention rate in terms of which videos, rather than seeing only the numbers in the front that, oh, it got so many million views or it got so many. What is the content type really that is resonating with the audience? And one of our key performance indicators when we benchmark whether something has been a success is shareability. We focus on that a lot more, because when it is being shared around, it means that it's gone beyond the bubble of your UN network. It's being used by the community. And that is one of our key performance indicator. So, for instance, and also collaborating with creators, because it is a very creator economy based platform. So every platform has a unique personality. You know, it's not something that one size fits all. And that's where a lot of work is needed, because production work increases because you're also customizing things. So on TikTok, we try to be fun. We use the trends, the music, and the videography is very casual and almost like it's very friendly. Very well produced videos we've also seen don't do really well. It takes a lot of time to go into a studio and set it up and produce against a chroma key, but it's not really giving you the kind of like the analytics hit that you want, as opposed to somebody just using a selfie video and doing it in a very interesting tongue-in-cheek copy and almost kind of being intimate with the user in terms of communication. So TikTok, that's where the focus lies, where it has to be, it's infotainment. It's not just preaching down information. All the like different brands have different, it has to be curious. It has to still communicate public health advocacy. That's our role, to inform the public, but in a way that they can consume very fast. 45-second videos is what we've discovered do really well. And it's, you would know as a social media expert, guru in this field, that how difficult it is to produce a short video compared to a long video. So that's where we are always kind of breaking our head and saying, can we do this in 45 seconds with a very interesting copy and something that will immediately boost up the video retention rate?
I think that it's a challenge to deliver the messages in 45 seconds. In a short video, it's a challenge for your team. And I think that is a challenge to produce the content and have these different views. For Instagram, where you have a specific strategy for tailored to the platform, and for TikTok we have another strategy. What's the content process in your case? Can you describe a little bit the way you produce the content for the social media networks?
We are always kind of trying to understand. I mean, we can't always say that, oh, this is the hot topic, so let's do something. We are not a private company, right? We are still a multilateral UN agency on public health, and we have to deliver in that role. But at the same time, we definitely look at one is that there are short-term boosts with the news moments. Like you started tracking WHO during the pandemic because you had a very specific need. Right?
Yeah.
So that need is never going to die. We know that during news of outbreaks, of health emergencies, of tracking anything about infectious diseases, people will follow WHO. But at the same time, how do we get the common person interested in health to also follow WHO as their first source of information? So we do a mix when we talk about editorial content. We always produce things which is news-based and see which platform it fits, whether it is Twitter. But at the same time, we also do public health advocacy camp, like a bit more thematic. Let's say we will tackle a topic on mental health, which always does well on our channels. But what is WHO stance on mental health and what could use it? What is depression? What is how does mental health at work play, the various hooks which a common broad base of users would be interested. But we create those kind of content pieces for more a creative spin or a very bright carousel, which kind of breaks a certain myth. That you're not alone if you're, if you're having a stressful moment. How can depression be tackled? And, why do you need to talk to a mental health expert? So we constantly do advocacy on broad thematic health, non-emergency issues for our editorial content. And at the same time, we keep a very firm grip on news-based health emergency issues. And we track both. And then we come up with an editorial plan, whether it is a video, whether it is a carousel, whether it is a static tile that can be very quickly shared in messengers. Our main aim is to, of course, address the needs of the users. We are very connected to how, and that's where analytics give us some sort of intelligence, but also media monitoring that gives us, social listening gives us a lot more valuable knowledge as to what people are really talking about online on public health topics. So that's in a nutshell how we editorially manage the various emergency and non-health emergency topics and curate content which fits our user needs. But at the same time, we will not feel shy to talk about something that WHO thinks the larger public must be informed about, which might be a technical topic. But then in that case, we try to de-jargonize it as much as possible and do it almost like a listicle, like 5 things or 6 things you need to know about X, Y, Z. It's about breaking down information in the most informative, not dumbing it down, but easy way to digest and keeping the priorities in place editorially.
Yeah, and everything in 45 seconds.
No, that's for TikTok. I mean, it's not like we don't do long format. We do have 5-minute videos as well.
Yeah.
But let's say we are trying to meet with the industry expectations, I mean, there are long format things that do work, but it's a very niche area. That's my understanding. Correct me if I'm wrong, if you're seeing something else. But that's what our intel says in terms of video retention rate and how people generally consume content.
Yeah. And I think it's on different platforms, there are different audiences with different interests. So on Instagram, you have an older audience compared with TikTok. That's why you can go with longer videos where on TikTok, there's still a young audience. Okay, we can see that there is a change, and we can see that more and more people up to 35 years are coming to this platform, but still you have to, the major people are those under 25, so you have to deliver content tailored to their attention span, the way they are used to consume content on that platform. if you have to share some key elements for creating a successful campaign on social media for NGO, what are your thoughts here? So a social media lead that is active and represent an NGO, what should know before starting and launching a campaign on social media?
I mean, these are something, whether you're on social or, I mean, now, as I said before, nothing is not social. But of course, you need to know your communication objective and then define your target audience and then define your core messages. But at the same time, when you do these, basically, it's the blueprint of any campaign. One thing that a lot of us tend to miss is that we are very self-congratulatory. We are very inward looking. We just assume that everybody's going to understand our jargons. Everybody's going to intuitively relate to a very institutional topic of concern. You have to listen to what, even if you're launching a campaign, let's say, for the sake of example, mental health at work, and you're talking about very, very dense policies, but you're not humanizing the content, or you're not making it, how will a social media audience, which can be very varied, on Instagram, it can be slightly older, on TikTok, it's basically somebody even going to college or a vocational training institute, and you've not covered that area. We have to kind of keep our users in our mind when we craft a campaign. We cannot, and also the platform, the algorithm, what it promotes and what it does not promote, what it supports and what it does not support. So these are two key elements that we need to think of even before we start crafting our, target audience and writing those long core messages. Everything has to be platform specific, algorithmically smart, and also very, very close to our user base. And like WHO's users are different. People are coming for different concerns on our platforms as compared to a user no NGOs are alike. So there's not a playbook, although it may seem like not-for-profits will follow a certain basic principle. But based on your institution's core objective, you have to still, rather than copying somebody's strategy, you have to still come up with something of your own.
Yeah.
Because only you know what your users are coming to your channels for. And as long as you kind of data inform your strategies with social listening tools, it becomes slightly bit more robust. And also, no strategy is written in stone. It has to be very agile and flexible. If you think something at a pilot stage is not working with, let's say, a pool of people, you pilot something, and we do that. We do A/B testing and see what's working and what's not working. And then we go a little step further. There should be somebody in the team who's a risk taker and says, you know what, let's change the narrative of this campaign because it's not resonating. So we need to be prepared to have, speak humble truths to ourselves and not be egocentric or saying that, oh, we are correct, we know our audience. Sometimes we don't know our audience. They are whimsical or not even whimsical. They are following certain trends, and are we really meeting their needs? And then strategically catering to the users. So like on TikTok, people are scrolling so many videos in a day, the StatShot report says that in a month, you can spend one day, like users are spending almost 24 hours in a month on TikTok. So, I mean, you can see the kind of trend that is there in terms of content consumption.
If
you're not aware of it and you're producing these really beautiful panoramic videos for TikTok, thinking that this is what like a corporate film is, plastered on TikTok, it's not going to work because you've not understood how the users are communicating. So I'm not saying this is the practice, but that's how I think, at least in our case, we are very close to our users. We constantly give them the importance it merits and then work out our strategies.
And I think this applies to every business sector. So every message that you post on social networks, even if you are an NGO or if you're a business selling a specific product, It's important to know your user needs, your consumer needs, to understand them, and to tailor the message based on those needs. When it comes to success, you mentioned that the shares are really important. So you said, I think it's a pretty great idea that keeping the metrics that happens only on your community, it's one way of measuring the success, but looking at what other people are sharing about your brand on social, it's another indicator about the success on social media. Are any other metrics that you are looking at when it comes to, I don't know, measuring the campaigns and the messages that you are publishing?
I mean, of course, shareability is a top indicator, but also like we of course measure saves and likes on Instagram. But it's just the hierarchy of which is the metric that we give most importance. That is shareability. And on TikTok, it's also, when it comes to videos, we are looking at video retention rate, not just the front impression. So if it's let's say till the mark of 30 seconds, 50% audiences were watching the video, we think it's a very good metric. Apart from the views. Of course, they're always in combination, but we are measuring views, we are measuring impressions, we are measuring shareability, we are measuring video retention rate. We sometimes measure, like for instance, there was one video on Instagram that we did with the creator on tobacco and environment pollution. And it resonated because it was from somebody from the community, talking about in a very scientific, precise, and a very, very interesting way that what goes in your cigarette, the microplastics, and how harmful it is for the environment. And we saw the numbers climbing up like in an insane manner. Within a period of a weekend, it reached 7 million views, which was great as a front-loaded metric. But what was even more heartening is that audio was being remixed by the community itself and being shared around. So our aim is not to be self-congratulatory that WHO is having so many million views, but it's also to say this message really resonates with the youth. So somebody will think about not smoking because they are also environment conscious and they did not put two and two together. So, we are kind of unlocking other messages for our users. And I think that's, it's kind of like a very heartfelt reward for the team because you feel that your messages are sticking in people's minds. That's why we give shareability so much importance.
When looking at 2023, sorry, it's in the future, not in the past. What are the trends that you want to follow for the next year?
I think we do want to work a bit with the creator community, but not like celebrities, A-listers, but really like influencers, and see how they can join forces on public health advocacy matters. Because that's something that TikTok definitely supports, the creator community, as well as Facebook as well, the creator community. We also want to look at podcasts like you are doing yourself, because audio is also kind of having a massive impact, and audio in long formats can do work. So that's one thing I would like to say, that audio long formats definitely work. People are on the move and they're listening, and it's non-intrusive, and people are consuming podcasts a lot. We also want to look at humanizing content. Sometimes we are so far removed from something that might be happening in Uganda, but how does it impact everybody, and really like bring the global context in our messaging, work more with our regions and country offices, and add that element of storytelling and telling people's story, and in a very creative yet impactful manner. We definitely want to explore a little bit of the new platforms like Be Real. To be honest, we haven't. And test out the appetite, that how can policymakers and scientists be made more real to our users and audiences. and see where that, it's a risk. It's like you throw a stone and see what it hits and see if it makes an impact. So new platforms, emerging platforms, also with the Twitter changes, the Mastodon and other decentralized models of social media, it's work in progress. I think all of us in our different areas of work are exploring new models of social media. No one single day is same in a social media manager or a officer or any professional in the world of social media. No 2 days look alike. So agility is very important, and we are trying to keep up with the market trends. So these are some of the things we are looking forward to in 2023 and experimenting and seeing where it leads us.
Thank you so much, Diya, for sharing all these insights with us and the way you are doing your work at the World Health Organization. I have a fire up session, so I have some short questions. Only yes, you have to answer only with the yes or no. So safety or risk?
You mean whether I should use safety or risk?
Yeah.
Online, safety.
Okay. Short form video or long form video?
Short form.
Online or offline?
Online.
Okay. Who should be my next guest on this podcast?
Well, I mean, there are so many interesting people, but I would really be interested in hearing from a disinformation or a misinformation expert, and see how they are tackling this ginormous problem that we all are facing in terms of disinformation.
Yeah.
So I don't have a name for you, but there are various fact checkers and experts who work in this field and specifically on social media. And that insight is truly helpful for us because that's something which is a huge risk and we have to combat it on a daily basis.
Yeah, I think that I think this is your mission, to provide the real facts about what happens in the world. So people are looking at you like a point of truth. So it's important to make sure that you deliver the right message. Thank you so much, Diya. Where people can find you?
I have to say, this is something I have to work upon. My Twitter following is not that fantastic, but I'm still active. I try to keep a bit under the radar. So you can find me on Twitter. It's Diya IMDb as my handle. And you can find me on LinkedIn. If you want to connect professionally, if you want to share some knowledge, insights, I'm always available to learn from people and understand their needs. So these are the two platforms that you could readily connect with me.
Okay. These links will be added into the description of the podcast on each platform where you are listening to this podcast. So thank you so much for being with me today and sharing your struggles and challenges that you have every day.
Thanks a lot, Adina.